Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I am Frank Granito and I'm joined in the studio this election day by Kevin Coleman. Kevin, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing well. It's an exciting day for our country, Frank.
Very fun. And of course, we have a lot of sports action to cover as well. Let's start right away with it, Kevin. We had some controversy within the state yesterday. We got to talk about it briefly on Nutmeg, but we have a story now. All of the CIAC Class LL and L girls soccer games scheduled for Monday, November 7th have been postponed to Wednesday due to a seeding error. The Suffield Wildcats were incorrectly placed in Class L instead of Class LL, and the error was discovered by the CIAC on Monday morning, and school officials were notified at the time. The CIAC has released a statement saying the Suffield High School team was incorrectly placed in the Class L tournament when the success in tournament factor used in designating soccer tournament divisions should have placed them into Class LL. The oversight was discovered yesterday morning, and the CIAC notified schools as promptly as possible, reseeded the LL and L tournaments, and made the corrections in the seeding and tournament schedules. Before we get to the updated schedules and seedings now, Kevin, this was a disappointing mistake to see the CIAC make, especially because so many of these teams had already gotten on buses, were at locations that they would be told they're not playing at by the time they learned of the issue.
Yeah, it's a shame. It really is. And talk about all the money that's gone to waste now to bus drivers, to the people who are traveling to their games, and it almost hurts them in a way because they're already mentally prepared to play these games, and now you're telling them when they get to that field they can't play anymore. That kind of messes up the mentality of these girls because they're ready to play these games, and now you're telling them they can't. They have to wait 2 more days. So it's tough, and it's going to be tough for them to get up for these games. So it is a shame that it had to happen like that.
I actually was able to speak with McMahon girls soccer coach Angelo Singerliotis yesterday, and this was while they were in Newington getting ready to play that game. They'll now play against Newtown instead, but when I spoke with Angelo, he was more confused and shocked by this situation and how it developed. The frustration, I don't believe, had set in yet. And you talked about that mental preparation that goes into a state tournament game. You're on site, you're half an hour away from kickoff, and then they tell you that, oh, the game has been postponed. We're actually not going to play this team either. So just a very bizarre situation throughout the CIAC for girls soccer yesterday.
It is bizarre, and we've never really seen this before, especially here in Connecticut. And you talk about getting to that game. You're, like you said, Frank, half an hour to an hour away from game time, and then you're being told you can't play. That not only messes up that whole day itself. You can't get training that day. Can't get any training in. You have to wait till the next day. You got 1 extra day, which may benefit some teams, but still, it's going to be hard for these teams because now they're going to play different teams than what they were prepared for.
With the first round games now being moved to Wednesday afternoon, the second round, as follows, has been moved to Friday, November 11th, and the quarterfinals will be played on Sunday, November 13th. That is an interesting situation. You don't often see Connecticut State high school games being played on Sunday, Kevin.
Yeah, it's hard, and you talk about this flip-flop schedule now. It's going to be difficult for these girls, and you got to tip your hat to them because they're all going to go out and play well, but it's just going to be hard, especially for a Sunday. I know growing up, when you're playing your youth and club academies, you are used to playing on Sundays here in Connecticut, but you haven't played Sundays in a long time. You're normally, that's your day of rest. That's your day of maybe getting a light workout in. But you talk about playing a full game, full 80 minutes, plus you may get some extra time in depending on the game. But it's going to be difficult. It's going to be interesting to see how this tournament rolls out.
The new seeds and matchups involving FCIAC teams are now as follows. McMahon has dropped to number 25. They will play at number 8 Newtown. Number 24 New Canaan will play at number 9 Staples. Number 20 E.O. Smith will play at number 13 Wilton. Ludlow is now number 28. They will play number 5 Cheshire. Danbury is 21 in the seedings. They'll play at West Hill, who is number 12. Ward 18 now plays number 15 West Haven. East Hartford will travel to number 3 Ridgefield. And Trumbull, who is 19, will play against number 14 Darien. So a couple of FCIAC interconference matchups now in the state tournament, Kevin. And I think that while we can sit back and enjoy seeing those FCIAC teams play against each other, it makes it that much more interesting for us. these are schools who did not want to have to play an FCIAC team a second, third time this season now.
Yeah, it's win or go home, and obviously the FCIAC girls this year has been so good. Every team has been really strong. There really hasn't been a bad team, and it's just such a strong division. So you're definitely going to see a representatives of FCIAC teams that are going to advance to the later rounds here in the state tournament. But you look at this one matchup, Darien Trumbull in the first round here. That is a very good matchup for a first round. You almost feel sorry for those two teams that they have to play each other in the first round.
In the Class M division, St. Joe's is the number 4 seed. They are the only other team in the FCIAC that has qualified for a state tournament outside of Double L. So again, those games scheduled to be played tomorrow afternoon now starting at 2 o'clock. We'll have more of a preview for you on Nutmeg Sports tomorrow. Kevin, we did have the volleyball tournament getting underway yesterday. There were FCIAC teams in action. Let's walk through those matchups, and we'll tell you who they have in the second round now. Fairfield Ward with a 3-0 shutout over Hall. They'll get set to play number 1 Greenwich in the second round. Wilton fell at the hands of Glastonbury 3-0. The Warriors season has come to an end. Ridgefield and McMahon both had byes in the first round. Ridgefield will host Hamden, and McMahon will host E.O. Smith. Danbury defeated NFA 3-0. They now travel to number 2 Amity. Staples beat Simsbury by a score of 3-1. The Wreckers will draw the FCIAC champion Stanford Black Knights in the second round. And Trumbull shut out Darien 3-0. They will travel to number 6 Cheshire. Let's start with that matchup between Trumbull and Darien. When was the last time we had a season where Darien was eliminated in the first round of both the FCIAC and the state tournament, Kevin?
It's been a long time. It really has been the big story this year, and I think everyone's just so surprised. You go around to these games, and you got your parents, fans, writers, coaches. They're all saying to each other, "Man, Darien just having an off year." So hopefully they can bounce back next year. We know such a good program, they definitely will. But Frank, you're absolutely right. It is very, very odd that Darien is out in the first round.
Trumbull Cheshire should be a great matchup. Keep an eye on that one. Of course, the Eagles lost in the first round to McMahon, but they are a much more talented team than the 3-0 shutout they suffered there. McMahon and Ridgefield having Hamden and E.O. Smith, we expect them to be able to handle those. Something to keep an eye on, though. 2 tricky teams from outside the conference. Staples and Stanford, a very interesting game to me. This will be Stanford's first game since the conference championship. And this is a Staples team throughout the year that we have seen show signs of greatness. Virginia Garrick, a first-team All-FCIAC player, can do a lot of damage. The matchup against Andrea O'Connor will be a very interesting one to watch.
Andrea O'Connor, she proved herself in that championship game. I'll tell you, she was so strong in that. MVP was well-deserved in that. And this Staples team, credit them. They beat Darien 3 sets. Huge win for Staples. So that, you're right, Frank, is going to be an excellent matchup. I still think Stanford is going to ride on, and they're still on a high from that big FCIAC championship game. That I think they're going to continue on a roll here.
And now you have Ward with the big win. They just missed out on FCIACs, having fallen apart towards the end of the season. Great to see them bounce back in the first round. They now draw number 1 Greenwich. That is a Greenwich team, Kevin, that is going to be angry heading into this tournament, having lost in the semis. What do the Mustangs have to do to hang with the Cardinals?
It's a lot. They definitely have to force. They definitely could go to 5 sets easily, but you're right, Frank. Greenwich coming into this tournament, trying to revenge themselves after an early exit from what everyone thought in the FCIAC tournament. And listen, I think Greenwich is going to do very well in this tournament. They're almost riding. They're the number 1 seed, but they're kind of playing with a little bit of not as much pressure as maybe Stanford or McMahon has. We saw them in the championship game. I think Greenwich is actually in a great spot. I think people are they're flying under the radar as a number 1 seed. So I like Greenwich's chances in the state tournament.
We, of course, will keep you updated throughout the entire state tournament for volleyball. There were a couple of field hockey playing games yesterday we want to keep you up to date on. Ward shut out Hall 3-0. Simsbury held off Trumbull 2-1. And New Milford shut out Ridgefield by a score of 3-0. First round games for that tournament are set to begin tomorrow afternoon on the 9th. We'll have a full preview of the field hockey bracket for you tomorrow on Nutmeg Sports. Kevin's going to step aside right now, and John Kovach will come on to join me as we look at the Staples and St. Joseph's football game from last Friday night right here on the HAN Network.
1, 2, 3, Abby, you know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on. I can push myself way beyond what you think.
Pressure technique. Bring it back.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking, to a partner that makes small businesses feel big, where community comes first, where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch, where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver, where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well, bank smart, bank local, bank well.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
For unique and special holiday gifts, come to Touch of Sedona, a spiritual boutique located in the heart of Ridgefield, Connecticut. We have plenty of unique pieces, including Native American and equestrian jewelry, crystals, candles, incense, and books, as well as an ever-changing showcase of artists, intuitive practitioners, healers, and lots more. Happy holidays from Touch of Sedona, 452 Main Street in Ridgefield. Visit us today. Open 7 days a week.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
On Election Day in Connecticut, the HAN Network has you covered with real-time results and analysis.
Will your town vote for Trump or for Clinton?
And who will be representing you in Hartford and in Washington, D.C. HAN's news reporters and editors will be out in the field talking to the candidates, collecting results, and we'll be breaking it all down on air with live local analysis you won't find anywhere else.
Watch Connecticut Election Night 2016 live
November 8th at 8 p.m. on HAN.network and Frontier Communications channels 600 and 1600.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network as we look back at the weekend's football schedule from the FCIAC. I am joined now by John Kovach. John, we were at Staples on Friday night for the game between the Wreckers and the St. Joe's Cadets. I thought it was far and away the best football game of the weekend in what was an elimination game for Staples, and they lost a heartbreaker.
You can make a legitimate argument that that's one of the games of the season, coming down to a one-score game to tie it. The big stop's negated by a penalty. You can say what you want about the penalty, but it's something that they're calling, and they did deliberate it, but it is what it is.
And I think that's what, and we'll spend just a moment on this penalty, but I think what was frustrating to both sides at the end of it was the deliberation, was that it was a delayed flag. We spoke earlier in the broadcast how this is a rule now they're going to enforce. They've been consistent with calling it, but I think it was obvious that Coach Petrasio was upset that there was no call originally, and then a flag was thrown while it all happened on the St. Joe's sideline.
Well, the guys in the stripes are in a no-win, and I do feel for them. Some of them might not buy that, but I do feel for them. Because if they had called it immediately, well, they didn't think about it. They're just throwing the flag. But when they got together and told, what did you see, what did you see, what did you see? Now, complicating matters was the proximity to the St. Joe's sideline, the lobbying there, the player right there next to them being tended to by the trainer. So there were a lot of complicating factors, but it's a call that they're going to make.
And at the end of the day, it was just, it was disappointing. It was upsetting that that game came down to that call, and that's how it was going to be disputed, because it was a great football game featuring two very good teams that played true to what we expect out of them.
What I found interesting was the way the balance tipped in that game. We said that Staples was going to have to control the clock, control possession, control the ball, and for 20 basically of the first 24 minutes they did just that, but they only got out of there with a tie. They didn't have that lead. St. Joe's comes back in the second half and totally flips the script and drives up and down the field on Staples, which I thought had a bigger line.
I mean, we saw it early on. You were right. The line of scrimmage was so important to us. Staples dominated it for 22 minutes of the first half. They end up going tied at halftime, and that was definitely disappointing. But then it's the 5.5-minute drive to start the second half that really flipped the script there for the Cadets. We have highlights from Friday night's game, John. We're going to take a look at those right now.
At Staples High School, the Wreckers clinging to their playoff lives with a record of 5-2, and they welcome the number 2 team in Class M, the St. Joe's Cadets. First time on first down this drive, the Wreckers have come up slow. A little miscommunication on the motion, but Pooley busting through the line of scrimmage. Touchdown, Wreckers! Babineau gives inside again. No, he keeps it himself. Heading for the goal line. Touchdown, Cadets! It's a read option play. The DN bit. 1st and 10 for the Wreckers with 2:15 remaining. They go to Pooley inside. Steps around a couple of tacklers, and now he's loose. Gets a block late. Pooley down the left sideline. Pooley at the 30. Pooley to the 20, to the 10, 5. Touchdown, Wreckers!
You don't need to throw the ball to have a quick strike offense, and there it was.
Babineau looking to the right. Flush from the pocket now. He's got to escape. Looks to get rid of it. He's got Malazzi open. Touchdown, Cadets. He held on. Babineau and Sheridan in the backfield calling out possible blitzers. They fake the slant. Malazzi on the corner route. Touchdown, Cadets. And Speed in the backfield. Blitz coming. Speed escapes. Now he's off on the run outside the pocket. Heading for the first down marker. He goes over the top. 34-yard attempt for the junior. Snap and hold are good. The kick is up, end over end, and it is good. With 7:19, Vandermeer connects from 34. We'll see if St. Joe's has to run another play, and they will not. The clock is under 25. The Cadets are celebrating as they wind the play clock now. And John, the Wreckers are going to fall to 5-3. The Cadets now 7-1 following a 24-17 win.
So with the win, St. Joe's now 7-1. They're number 2 in Class M, controlling their playoff fate with 2 games left. Staples drops to 5-3, but a hard-fought game, a well-played game. The emotions were very high from both sides, but St. Joe's in that second half, John, just really came out and looked like a totally different team.
Friday night, you and I discussed, well, what adjustments did they make? And on one of those touchdowns, that second pass, I watched the backfield and pointed out the back stepping up to take on the blitz from the edge. But I talked to somebody from St. Joe's the day after the game. I said, what adjustments did you guys make? He said the line decided they were going to get it done. They wanted it, and they played that way. They went out and played with heart and flipped that game and put the Cadets on their back and carried them to a huge victory that really makes it a tough road if Staples wants to keep playing after Thanksgiving.
And you bring up a great point now. Staples 5-3. They've got 8-0 Darien coming to town this weekend, and then they have to go to Greenwich on Thanksgiving.
Two tough games.
You look at Darien, and we watched some of the film, obviously, afterwards, breaking it down. Darien is going to throw the football around. We have seen that this year. The secondary for the Wreckers is constantly stuck staring in the backfield, and it is continuing to cost them huge plays and scoring plays as well.
Well, if they had made a couple of covers, there's 2 St. Joe's touchdowns that aren't on the board. You saw that on the first touch, the wheel route come out, runs it out, bends it upfield, and nobody picks him up. and he just stands there open. And you see that so often in high school football. That's why the wheel is such a great call, because somebody either jumps the out or gets lost, and all of a sudden, here's a guy that came from the backfield standing all alone in the end zone, and then there was just the simple corner that got open. Darienne's going to take advantage of that. Greenwich could take advantage of that too.
And of course, though, for the offensive side, I thought the run game for Staples with a healthy Andrew Speed in the first half, it was as good as we've seen it all year. Pooley is so explosive. Speed, we saw him on that option, the long touchdown run, getting upfield, laying an extra block. They didn't seem to have that hunger or aggression in the second half.
That's a kid who wants to win, and you see that. You see that in blocking upfield like he did there. You see that in him trying to leap over a defender to get the first down. That's just a want-to play. That's why those teams are perennial winners, because you've got kids who buy in, and that's what they will do to make sure that they win. I think having him back may have opened things up for Pooley a little bit, because you can't now just keep Pooley, because Speed, and he showed it Friday night, is just going to carry it as deep as he can on these option fakes and then make you look bad by pitching.
It was a lot of fun, John. We were obviously happy to have you along for the call, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for coming on to Nutmeg Sports, John. We know you got a busy day. We look forward to seeing you later on this evening with our election night coverage right here on the HAN Network.
Not sure which one's more hard-hitting.
We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, Kevin Coleman joins us again, and we look at the rest of the FCIAC football games from this past weekend.
This is now 44 years I've been in this business. Digital came along. After I was in business for about 6 years, I had to totally reinvent the business. So I had to make a tremendous investment in my business. And Milford Bank was there for me. I don't really just consider Milford Bank a bank. I consider them a trusted partner in my business. My name is Jim Wilson, owner of Milford Photo. I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign up now for InSports Passing and Receiving Positional November Soccer Clinic, scheduled for November 19th. Sessions are available for U13 to U14, U15 to U16, and U17 to U19. Featuring college coaches from around the region, this is your official home of Connecticut's Olympic Development Soccer Program. For more information, visit insportcenters.com.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan, or online at carldirect.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter, and I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network. And we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito and Kevin Coleman in studio as we look back at the rest of the football games from this past weekend. And let's start with Trinity Catholic and Stanford High. Trinity with a chance to clinch the Stanford City title, and they do so with a 38-15 victory over the Black Knights. Trinity now 5-3 will travel to Bridgeport Central. The Black Knights 3-5, host NFA. Trinity's still very much in the playoff hunt, Kevin, sitting at 5-3 right now.
Yeah, good for them. This is their third city title. You know, they hoisted up that trophy this weekend, so congratulations to them on a great victory. And you know, they still have a chance. There's still a hope for Trinity Catholic here this season.
The schedule definitely favorable for the Crusaders with a chance to win out. Next game on the schedule, Central 45 and Ludlow 22. Central now 1-7, picking up their first victory on the year. They of course have Trinity Catholic. The Ludlow Falcons 0-8 will host the New Canaan Rams. Life does not get much easier for the Falcons now.
It does not. It's a tough road for Ludlow this year. They've had their on-field, off-field issues, and it's going to be a tough year for Ludlow. And this game doesn't get any easier. We know how good New Canaan is. And congrats to Bridgeport Central getting their first win of the year. They're very happy about that and well deserved. A very, very strong performance from the Hilltoppers. Speaking of New Canaan, they came out on top of Trumbull 44-14. The Rams now 8-0. Will play at Ludlow. Ryan O'Connell, their star running back and cornerback, suffered an ankle injury in this game. We have heard he is day-to-day for the Rams. Trumbull now 5-3. They're on the outside looking in for the state tournament. They will travel to 3-5 Norwalk. In our next game, Ridgefield continues to roll, Kevin. The Tigers with a 55-3 win over West Hill. Ridgefield now has got Greenwich coming to town. That, of course, our game of the week. We will be there at Tiger Hollow Friday night. West Hill goes to St. Joe's. Greenwich defeated Norwalk 62-34. Greenwich also 6-2. Sets up essentially what is being called now a play-in game for the state tournament. It should be a great one on Friday night for us to watch. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch here on Friday night at Tiger Hollow. It's going to be a massive crowd on Friday night. Hopefully we get some good weather as well. This is going to be a gunslinger game. It's going to go, I think it's going to go back and forth. Both offenses have been playing stellar. We know how good both quarterbacks are. Kevin Iobi is very strong. It's going to be fun to watch these two teams play against each other.
Iobi, again, another game with over 250 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. And this was the 4th game in a row in which the Tigers have scored 42 or more points. Darien remains undefeated 8-0 after a 50-21 win over Ward. They now travel to Staples. Ward has got 0-7. McMahon coming to town. McMahon falling against Danbury, the Hatters, with a 22-0 win. Second win on the season for Danbury. And the final game in the conference, Wilton 31, shutting out of-conference opponent Guilford. Wilton now 5-3 on the year. They've got Danbury. We understand that it's going to be New Canaan and Darien on Thanksgiving. That will determine who has the best record in the FCIAC, Kevin. There is no FCIAC championship, but there are still realistically 6 teams, arguably 7, with a chance to qualify for states. The next 2 weeks, which occurs over 3 weeks' time, but the last 2 games for the regular season should be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of meaning to more games than not in the conference.
You're right. You talk about those 3 lost teams. They still have a chance in it. You talk about this game Friday night. It's a play-in game, you say, Frank. Ridgefield Greenwich. This is going to be the game of the week, which we have here on the HAN Network. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. A really strong game between 2 great teams. It's going to be a really, really fun finish.
We will have previews of all of the weekend's football game for you on Thursday afternoon. Of course, tune back into Nutmeg Sports tomorrow. We'll take a look at the CIAC state tournaments as they continue to be played out with a preview of the field hockey tournament. You'll have coffee break at 11 a.m., CT Pulse at 12:30. But, of course, make sure you tune in tonight at 8 o'clock to the HAN Network and to Frontier Communications Vantage Sports Network for the HAN Network special election night coverage with Kate Chaplensky and Josh Fisher. Again, that starts tonight at 8 and can be seen online and on Frontier Communications channel 600 and 1600. Kevin, thank you for coming in. We need to get out of here, make room for the election night coverage. And we've got, we're going to be political correspondents tonight, so we got places to go.
That's right. Everyone go out and vote.
Should be a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time right here on the HAN Network.